take a big old drink. What are we
Thirsty.
sipping? What's our daub?
Water.
I'm wearing, I think these
I
are
have
Walmart
this dress
Halloween jammies. And my drink is a Utah soda. It's a 0 sugar Dr. Pepper with protein. And no. And what are we
Book?
reading today?
I read this. The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Literary Liberation Podcast. Today we will be discussing, analyzing, and reviewing The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. We're fundraising for the Northern Gaza Water Fund, so the link for that will be in our description on all the major podcasting websites. No links will be on YouTube. We've said this before. YouTube is just being fucking stupid, so if you want links, that's where they're at. For more content outside of the podcast, please check out our Instagram and TikTok at Literary Liberation and Twitter at LitLibPodcast. I'm your co-host, Mariah. You can find me at Hungry Rye on all social media platforms.
And I'm your co-host, Kristen. You can find me at TensTBR on all social media platforms.
Also,
I got my main
TikTok is back.
Account is back. Thank God. I connected it back to my phone number again, so hopefully the next time I get hacked, it'll text me updates again. And
live up.
Yeah. I mean, I got my account back, so back to my irregularly scheduled posting. Anyways, moving on. For October, we're not reading too much this month because we have a big chunky Carl to get through this month. So we thought we would do a little bit of a shorter spooky read. So we've heard nothing but good things. I'd say I've heard only good things about The Haunting of Hill House. The show on Netflix was pretty big a couple years ago whenever it came out. I never watched it. I think Mariah did. I have since watched at least the first episode, though. Now. But.
Yes, I remember I watched the original movie, the 1999 movie with Owen Wilson
Liam
and
Neeson.
some other... Liam Neeson is in it. And Scary Movie 2, obviously, is another one. That'd be like the next one.
Was that supposed to be a parody of this? Or a parody of the movie?
Yeah.
I've never seen the Scary movies.
I was reading this, I was like, this reminds me of Scary Movie 2, and I had to go back and look. I was like, oh my gosh, it's because Scary Movie 2 is based off of the movie, which is funny. The movie's called The Haunting, which the movie is the closer adaptation to this, from what I remember. There's also a 1963 adaptation, whereas the TV show is different. And
the TV show is nothing like this.
Yeah,
not even though. Okay, because
it's like the history of the house. Like that's what it's supposed to be, but it's not.
Not at all.
It's really loose.
It's like, well, because like, not to spoil this or the show. I've only watched the first episode of the show and stuff, but like in this book, you get some lore and stuff about the house, and it's completely different characters where they took like the main characters from this and like made them all children. The children in the show, which is not like these people did not grow up. From the book's perspective, they did not grow up in this house at all. Versus in the show, they're acting as if these characters grew up in the house, basically. Which is not.
And like this book and like anything is going to be very difficult to talk about. Like I don't think we can even have a spoiler zone. I'm sorry. I think if something has been out for 65 years or so, like I think I'm sorry. There's going to be spoilers. So if you don't want that, stop now. Pause. Go read it. Come back.
Or don't read it. And listen to our full spoiled review if you don't care that much.
Now, this book obviously like has been blowing up. I think a lot more people are starting to venture into like the more literary side of book talk, and I feel like Shirley Jackson is that girl because she has a ton of backlog. Like she wrote, I think I read over 200 short stories is what she ended up publishing through a bunch of different places, and then she has 6 main books that she has, and The Haunting of Hill House is like one of the biggest ones that she has written.
I've never read any of her other ones, but I know this one was on my TBR for like the longest time, and then The Castles Have Eyes or whatever is also, I think,
we have always lived in a castle, I think.
Yeah, that one.
Sisters.
Yeah. Those are like her 2 like main novels that I've heard about a lot, and then of course the short story The Lottery I've heard about prior to.
Yes, and I read that. I don't know
Last
if I
year?
read that this year. I read that last year.
I thought it was
It
last
was
year.
just like a nice little short read, and I read that and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is cool. I need to read some of the other books," and it really motivated me to want to read like an actual novel by her. She's this really smart lady, though. I was reading what the hell was she? She's like a physicist. I think that's what her job was because I didn't put it in here, but she had a very official job. Let me double check, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah, she had a piece of shit husband. Okay, yeah, she was an American physicist and was the 18th president of the Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. I'm looking at a different Shirley Ann Jackson. Never mind.
Shirley Hardy Jackson is who you want.
Okay, well that's cool that there is a Shirley Jackson that was a physicist. That's why I was like, this is so weird. You know where I think I got that from was a Google AI overview, and I was trying to look into it and I couldn't find it. This is another mark against Google AI overview. Please, for the love of God, don't use that and expect it to give you like a like a respectable source. I can't think of the right word there.
So this lady was never a physicist.
This lady was not. She was just a writer.
Okay.
Anyways, sorry.
So not that smart. Different since she just wrote books.
She did write a lot of shit, though.
Yeah.
She has like the whole Shirley Jackson Award is like an award just based on her and like all for like horror, mystery, and like speculative fiction, which I think is really cool. What else is there to say? I mean, I didn't
her
really
husband sucked apparently.
That's
all you have written here.
I was looking that up today. Apparently, she was like, it says that she reluctantly agreed because he was like a piece of shit. His name was like Hyman's infidelities, notably with his students. He had students that he was like cheating on his wife with, and then she just like agreed to an open relationship. She should have killed him.
Or like gotten divorced. Like
done something. Something.
No offense, some feminist you are.
She was in the what was it? So this came out in 1959, which also like reading this stuff and like then reading this, I kind of wondered if this was about her feeling trapped.
It did kind of give The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins something. Gilman. I don't remember. Yeah, Gilman. Because we read that last year on the podcast and we talked about that. That was a short story, but this kind of does give that in the ways that I didn't like The Yellow Wallpaper, and spoiler alert, I didn't really like this either.
This was a very challenging book, and I think the ratings on Goodreads also reflected this. Also, this isn't going to be like a holistic understanding of this because Goodreads wasn't around in the 1960s. Sorry. So this is just like
so
the
you're
last
telling me these aren't people that reviewed it back then?
I know. Wouldn't that be funny?
I mean, it's considered
to like go back and retroactively add it.
I mean, it's considered a classic, so people must like it.
Yeah, I mean, it has a 3.81 star average, 374,000 ratings, 37,000 written reviews. Majority of them are sitting in that 4-star rating. We got 28% equaling 5-star, 35 equaling 4, 25 equaling 3, and then the last 9% is in 2 and 1 star. So overwhelmingly, it's like a good book, is what it's rated. Is what I would say. It's a challenging book, I will say, in some ways. The way that it's formatted, I think, is very unconventional.
Yes.
The way it's written, I do think it's quite easy to read. Not too like wordy. I don't know how to explain. Sometimes when I read like Dostoevsky, right? This man doesn't know how to shut his bitch ass up sometimes. Like he just keeps going and droning on and on and on.
Finish that in September.
I still have like it's getting finished this month, I guess. Where am I at? I'm on page 647. That's what I'm saying. Like this is hard. This not so hard, but it is a very dull book. It is a very bleak book. It is depressing. Like it's not a happy read. I just felt like bad the whole time I was reading it, and I get that's like the point. We can get into the themes and shit in a little bit, but
It
It's a
is
very difficult book to read and rate because, like, I was reading a lot of other reviews and stuff, and like the more I was like making connections, I have like an appreciation for it, but I can't say I remarkably like overwhelmingly enjoyed
enjoyed.
this read
Yeah.
because of how I felt like I was really struggling to get through it.
I mean, like, I
Unfortunately,
read it quickly because I started it, like, I read it in like 3 days. Like, I read it quickly, which it's less than 250 pages. So I feel like it's definitely something that you should be able to get through pretty quickly if you're pretty determined. But, like, I'm telling you, I would pick this up and, like, get sleepy reading it. Like, it was putting me to bed. How, like, it was just very. I think, too, it is definitely one of those books that's kind of overhyped from my perspective because, like, I never watched the Netflix show or anything, and, like, I didn't really know anything about it. Like, I've obviously heard Shirley Jackson before, but, like, everyone's like, "Oh, this is, like, the best, like, horror, spooky, haunted house story you'll ever read," sort of thing, and I was left kind of feeling underwhelmed throughout it because I was kind of like waiting for like the pin to drop and stuff because I did kind of expect it to be like, oh, like it's gonna be like the last like 20 pages are gonna be like, and then they were all ghosts in the house or something sort of vibe where it's like kind of like mind fuckery in that way or something, but then it's kind of just like it ends and you're like, okay, thanks.
and I have a lot of thoughts on the ending, and it seems like a lot of other people do. When I was like going through and reading like Reddit posts and reviews and shit of this, like people do love this, and I can see like why somebody would like this because personally, I have a hard time with haunted house like ghost stories. I feel like I've read a decent amount at this point. It's a very difficult thing to execute and then also for me to enjoy. I've read Incidents Around the House. I think that's not great. It's getting turned into a movie. Honestly, I feel like if anything, you should probably just watch The Haunting of Hill House, the TV show, because that was like a good spooky haunted house TV show. So I can like appreciate like the source material did
Created great art.
yeah, it's a
Inspired
very
great
like
art.
good. It captured the essence of The Haunting of Hill House, whereas like I don't think like newer age spooky stories like ghost stories are good. I don't think I've ever read one where I was like, oh my god, this is
I think
stupefied. I tried reading another one. What? Oh my god, what was it called? Tell is it Tell Me I'm Worthless, which is supposed to be like an
oh,
anti-fascist like
okay.
ghost story haunted house. DNF'd it. I didn't like it, and I was so bummed about it. Whereas this, I feel like I could pull more out of than I would on average.
I think my problem is I don't read a lot of horror like the horror you get to is really mysterious like, in that way there's more of like mystery being solved or something in that way. I don't enjoy a lot of horror because that's not like I don't get scared very easily, I don't think. And there's never been like a book or anything that's like deeply unsettled me, I think. In like ways that like My Dark Vanessa unsettled me because like the content of that and that was unsettling, but like this that's something meant to like creep you out and like want you to crawl out of your skin or like get a chill down your spine. I don't think this is a very effective thing to do it, and I personally don't really think books are an effective medium for that for me personally either.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on like. There's some splatterpunk books that I've read. I do think that the House of Leaves is probably like the one of the best horror. It's like a very genre encompassing book. Like there's a lot happening in that book, and I think that's like the best. I think some people consider it like a haunted house book. I think it's good. I wish I could like re-experience it for the first time because it's the only thing that's like given me like a stress-induced nightmare like reading it, and I still like will
Mhm.
have dreams of like the like 9-minute hallway or whatever. It was good. I want that, and I in some ways I wish this was just a little bit more speculative. Like there was a bit more of a philosophical element to it to kind of give us some illusion. But in some ways, it kind of reminded me of like Bunny, where it
Mhm.
has like the element is
It's
like, is the house haunted or do we have mental illness? We're kind of
yeah.
sitting with this. It's like, which one is it? But it wasn't done in a way that I thought was particularly entertaining. I'm gonna be honest. I think if you go into this and you're expecting it to be more like a queer novel, I think you can get more out of it.
I
That's
was
my hot.
getting that vibe as well, because I texted
this
you
bitch is
whenever,
gay.
yes, like that. Well, because like there was like that one part too, whenever it's like there is a lot of like subtle references, which maybe that could have been something too. Like Shirley Jackson had a really shitty husband and like forced herself to be in like an open relationship or whatever, sort of thing. So maybe she did have some queer identity. I don't know. This lady's been dead for 40 some odd years more than, you know what I'm saying? But I do think like there was another character that was originally one of the daughters of the guy that made the house, and instead of ever marrying or anything, she just had like a companion come live with her. Like them bitches were gay together living in the house.
And they were roommates.
Yeah. So like, oh my god, they were roommates. Like they were, you know what I'm saying? And I think that was really interesting to me because I do think the sisters that were like, I think a lot of like the ways that like the foreshadowing was the way that like they paralleled like Nell and like Theodora and stuff, like how they paralleled like the people that lived in that house before, and how we get like these sisterly dynamics. But they're also like, I feel like they want to be deep, but they're very surface level still. Like it's a lot more like subtext that you really have to be looking into rather than it being like, I don't know, a little bit more. Because, like, for such a character-focused novel, because this is not, like, there's no plot in this, which is, like, incredibly frustrating to me as a reader, because I prefer plot-forward novels, personally. Like, I can appreciate a good character story if there is also a strong plot. But in reality, there was no plot to like the haunting house and stuff like that, which versus watching the show The Haunting of Hill House, there's definitely more of like a plot there, while it's also studying like familial relationships, which this is like vaguely like hinting as if it's like maybe this could be deeper, but that it doesn't really do anything beyond that.
No, and like a lot of it you kind of have to like pick up on, and I think when this was produced, I think people may have had an easier time being able to extract it. Like the people that were probably reading it had known, like Pamela, the book that the Dr. Montague was reading, was all about like seduction, which I didn't know because I ended up like looking this up because I was like, this book, the way it's referenced and it's continuously referenced, like this means something. Like there's no reason that she would specifically say this book, and I looked it up, and it's apparently at the time that it had come out, it was denounced as like being pornography in disguise. This is like what was on the Goodreads thing, but it's all about a young servant's long resistance to the attempts of her predatory master to seduce her. And I thought that was really interesting. And then also we're having our main character, Nell. She's constantly repeating the phrase journey's end and lover's meeting, which is a like homage to Shakespeare's The Twelfth Night, I think is what it's called. And that play is considered like a queer story because it's about like this duchess that ends up dressing up as like a duke, a man, and then like this other like woman ends up falling in love with him, and he like lives out his life being a man. So there's like a really interesting queer element that Shakespeare had put in and people have analyzed. So I just think when it's like, okay, there's this seduction, she's really drawn to Theodora, they're like right next to each other, they have a really complicated relationship, and like Nell is also she's introverted, but she cannot read the room, and there's like that element
Autistic.
to it. I don't know if she's autistic. I know I like to say everyone is. She very well could be, but also maybe Theodora.
Are you gonna hold the book the whole time?
She's probably. I'm holding the Bible. I feel like Theodora it like starts to pick up on that like Nell is way more interested than maybe she's putting off. Like she's just a little bit too promiscuous, and then she's like, oh, I have to reel it back. Actually, I like the guy, and then she ends up going after Luca.
Luke.
Was that his name? Luke, just Luke. And I thought that was really interesting. And then you have Nell in the background, like creeping in on them. So it's
I don't know.
Very weird dynamic.
Well, because what's interesting to me too, though, is that I think Nell is so I would say deeply selfish in lots of ways, and also like very much she does not understand like anything going on like around her with like the other characterizations and stuff, because I think sometimes she like overanalyzes like Theo's movements and reactions and Luke's and stuff, where I think it could have been at least somewhat of like her own self viewing Theo and Luke as being like something, because there's like the one time where she's like spying on them. She's like, when are they going to start talking about me? When are they going to start talking about me? And they never do, because she's so like obsessed with her own self and her own image that she like views the world as revolving around her. But in reality, like these people have like other things to worry about too. Like they're also dealing with like the ghosts and stuff. And I wonder how much of it is actually like Theo being like, oh, I want to be with Luke, versus it's just because you only get Nell's perspective. She has that biased perspective with it, where she's viewing it as like they're betraying me because of obviously her some type of mental illness that I think the house and the ghosts inside of it are supposed to be representing.
Yeah, she's definitely, with her backstory and everything, like, she took care of her mom. Like, she graduates high school or whatever, is taking care of her mom until she dies, which we find out is very tragic, a very horribly tragic ending, and she blames herself for her
Maybe she
dying. And then
should.
she has, like, the sister, right? Which also, there's, like, that other sister dynamic reflecting
Yeah.
back and, like, what happened in the house with the Cranes. And I thought that was interesting because she doesn't have like any autonomy. Like she's like a young adult woman, and she's like, actually, you can't use this car.
She's
She's like,
not
my
a young
mom
adult
said
though. She's like 30. Nell
well,
is
she's
30
younger than her
something.
sister.
Yeah, her sister's supposed to be like, well, because I think they said whenever her sister and her dad died, well, because like the sisters of the house of the Cranes, I think it is like Q Crane or whatever who made the house, those sisters, I think they parallel Nell and her sister a lot too, because like so they both had like one parental figure died younger than prematurely, basically. So they both have that where they're both being raised by a single parent. But then also too, you end up having this rift between the two sisters where the younger sister has been antagonizing the older sister a lot, and then ends up antagonizing her partner later on whenever this is like the sisters that own the house once the father dies or whatever, and they get the house. And then you have the younger sister continuing to antagonize it. But then versus Nell and her sister, it's viewed as the opposite. But I wonder how much of it is actually, and you're kind of getting more of like Nell's like deceived reality because of her mental illness. You know what I'm saying? Because I do think
It's a very, that's why it makes, it's like, 'cause there's that speculative element, and I think the haunted house in some ways kind of obscures some of it, because it's like, oh, we're getting lost, oh, the doors are closing, oh, these things are happening. But then it's also like, who's writing the shit in blood on Theodora's wall? Where did the blood come from? And then,
but then
oh
it's
wait,
gone
everything's
randomly.
fine and it's normal. And then like they act like it's fine at the end, like, oh, everyone kind of just went about their business as usual. And it's a very weird, because it's like, did any of it happen at all? Like, it's very
It's a
weird. Like,
very
if somebody had just
unsatisfying
like
ending.
run their car into a tree,
Yeah. Well, because
what
like
happens? And
which I don't know what that's, because I do think, I don't know. I think like Nell is not necessarily meant to be a likable character. She does remind me of what's her face, Sam. Is that her name in Bunny? Samantha, I think, the main character in Bunny.
yeah, she kind of reminds me of like Eileen too,
Yeah, I can see that too. Where it's
in
just
some
like
ways,
this
where
is like
she's kind of
somebody
just
that
like an
like,
awkward girl.
but then it's like it's somebody that like you get her perspective, so then it's like trying to make you feel bad for her. But I like can't make myself care enough about her either, because she's kind of annoying and rude, you know, and obsessive in ways that it's like I can see why people don't want to be around you a lot, because you're kind of just like, because there's even like this scene with like her and Luke outside or whatever, and like Luke is trying to be chill with her and like try to have a conversation, build with her and stuff, and then she's just like, bruh, he's just gonna tell me some stupid shit that only I'm gonna know, blah blah blah, and it's gonna be dumb and I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want him to ask about me. And it's like, okay, that's not quite literally how conversations work or how getting to know people works. So I feel like because that's the way her character is, which I don't know, I think it's intentional for that way, but I also don't know if that you were supposed to care about Nell, but I could not personally find myself caring about her. You know what I'm saying? Like, she felt so like selfish, you know?
I think part of it goes back to like, she didn't really have a lot of social interaction based on like what she is thinking and like explaining, like, oh, I took care of my mom, I did all of this. Then I was like, I had 3 months or whatever, she's living with her sister. She doesn't, like, have any socialization outside of, like, maybe her high school, and then she spent, like, 10 years or more, whatever, taking care of her mom. So she doesn't have social skills in that way. Like, she's been so isolated. So, like, this going to this house is, like, such a feat for her. Like, she has to go do it because she got specifically invited to do this thing because of the weird event that she had in her life. So she's like, okay, finally, like, some communications, I'm an adult, I'm doing things. I'm going on an adventure. And I'm like, okay, like, work it, girl.
Yeah,
It's the 1950s. Do it.
I think at the beginning
I
she
thought that
was
was cool.
compelling character, but then it was just like halfway through, like once you start to see her true motivations and her true self, it's just she seems like such a unhappy and like it doesn't even seem like she likes other people, you know? Like she's just looking at how they benefit her and how they make her look better and how they're viewing her and everything, where it's like she's so self-centered, I think.
Yeah, and then I think part of, like, the ending, I was reading some other reviews, which I'll have, like, listed in the linked, or in the description with the links, talking about how she finally, like, gets what she's supposed to have. She gets, like, this pseudo family in this Hill House. It's like why she's so obsessed with it. She's like, I'm not leaving. I'm staying. And I think part of, like, where it's like, is it mental illness or not? Is like she crashes the car because subconsciously, I think she thinks she will be a ghost and she'll be able to stay there.
Yes, I agree with
take
that.
that positioning.
Yeah, I agree with that. She'd like her soul will stay within the house and she'll never have to abandon the house and abandon the people that she views as friends. But she doesn't even like any of them either. So I don't understand why she's so obsessed with staying with them in any way, shape, or form, you know?
It's almost like she's so lonely that she's willing to settle for anything. And because, it's really sad in that way because I was like, damn, girl, like, you could have so much more. And, like, maybe this is, like, it, honestly, like, okay, is this a stretch? I don't know. It kind of, like, reminds me of the way people talk about, like, the male loneliness epidemic and how, like, lonely they are. But then, like, rather than going and, like, becoming, like, an incel or something, she's just like, I'm gonna, like, go to this house with all these people, and then if if it doesn't go out, like, okay, I want this, they're not gonna let me have it, I'm gonna kill myself. I don't know. Is this what people are talking about with the loneliness epidemic and the lack of community? Like, is that, like, the whole thing with the time? And I mean, this happened or was published right after World War II, so you went from having women in the workforce and then they were forced out of the workforce, so it was a really weird ways, like, women finally had community and then they didn't have community any longer and they were forced back into the home. So there's, like, I know this is considered, like, a domestic novel and it's supposed to be a criticism of, like, domestic life in some ways, but I don't feel like it was that
doesn't feel strong. Like it was, no. Well, because, like, I feel like if you wanted it to be that, then it would be, like, an entirely different novel where you could have had, like, a horror novel about, like, this young couple or something with this abusive husband. You know what I'm saying? Like, within that, if you really wanted to make it, like, a truly, like, domestic story, where I don't feel like the Doctor or Luke or Thea were even, like, that bad of people. You know?
No, and the only thing I can think is, like, we have, like, Miss Dudley who's, like, cooking, and she's like, I cook at this time, and I'm clearing up at this time.
Which
like,
isn't,
she's, like, constantly in there, like, working, and I feel so bad because she's constantly being shit on. They're dogging on her. It's like, her. She's making you food. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
And y'all can't put the dishes away one time? She said the dishes belong on the shelf. I honestly,
wish...
What surprised me, though, is that I found the dialogue kind of funny. Like, the way that these characters talk to each other, I was like, why did they, like, it was, like, a little silly. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it was funny. Like, some of their banter, I was like, okay, like, I can get behind
they're friends. You know? Like, and then that's why I felt like, I don't know if it was just, I don't know, I felt like, especially the way with Nell's characterization, where I guess it could have been, like, the ghost possessing her, or something like that, but, like, I feel like she just, like, there's no development for, like, the fallout that there was. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just sort of happened.
It kind of felt like it came out of left field. I do agree with that. I think if this book could have, like, encapsulated what, like, the Winchester house was, because I don't know if you've ever been to the Winchester house. I did when I was in elementary school.
That's on
It's
the east
fucking
west coast,
weird.
isn't it?
Yeah, it's
The furthest
in,
west
like,
I've ever been is
Louisiana.
Illinois.
Oh, okay. The way, if you ever get a chance to go, and I'm sure people who like are listening to this maybe have or like heard of it, the
They
Winchester
reference
House is
that in
really
this too.
fucking weird. Yeah,
I've seen
she
videos on it.
was cuckoo. The house, like, you have to have a tour guide because you will get lost. And I was like, okay, I see like the influence in this because
Mhm.
she was convinced that the people that got shot by the rifles were haunting her. So she like had 13 palm trees around her house and 13 holes in like the grate in her sink. And she like, you go down one hallway and it's a dead end. You go up these stairs, it hits the ceiling. It's super weird. It's a very weird design. So I was hoping like more of like the design elements of the house because this is a haunted house novel and it's supposed to be like a really weird haunted house. The 1999 movie, like, I remember watching that as a kid and I was like, oh, this house is so weird. And then we ended up like going to the Winchester house. I was like, this is like the fucking movie I was watching. But that didn't really come into, like, you kind of get like this bare bones
There's
idea,
no
but
like
there's
running
not a
through the
lot of
house or
imagery.
nothing. Yeah, like
I
they
know.
tried
I
to
was like, I don't
describe
know what's
it.
going on.
Well, whenever she was describing the house, it just felt very like matter of fact and plain, where you don't get a lot of imagery in ways. Like I felt like the only room that was very describable was like the library. In that way, obviously, because like there's like the scene of her running up the spiral stairs and stuff like that. But I do think like the rest of the layout of the house, like it was just like, oh, we got lost. But then they don't talk about like the other rooms they're in or the different corridors they're in. Like I'm like, whenever y'all are describing this house, it doesn't really sound too much like a maze. But it's supposed to be a maze without it being a maze. Because like relatively they got around pretty easily. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you just like, oh, it's
Oh, we just
what's it,
opened
Vincent
this other
Montgomery
door.
and
Yeah.
Arthur, and you can hear them come down the hallway, and they got lost. So like, it wasn't that confusing. I wish it would have been more like a Grave
Maze-like.
Encounters type thing where you get like stuck in the house. But I don't know. I wanted a little bit more out of this. I think setting wise,
Yeah.
it didn't. I'm so sad because I was really excited. I appreciate it for what it is, and I'm really glad that I did read it, so I have it because I do like reading classics, and this is one of the better ones that I have read. I think it's pretty easy to
It's
get
one of the
through,
better
and I
ones,
think
but what did you rate it?
right, it's sitting at like a 3 star because I don't. It's like
I
initially I gotta let it like sit and marinate. It might go up a little bit more the more I think about it. The more reviews I read, I'm like, if it lingers, it might go up. If it falls off, it might go down.
Well, because I
Right now,
originally
I
had it
just
at a
don't know.
3 star, and then but like once I finished it, it's like I'm happy it was over. You know, like I'm glad I'm done reading it because like I'm telling you, there's like certain scenes where I was like reading it and I felt like I could barely keep my eyes open because like it was just so like long. It's not like long winded, but it is long winded because it's like I don't care enough about like what this means because it's not making like a deep enough critique or analysis. You know. It's still like
Yeah, I think
even though like I do think the queerness was like the best, like the most I got out of it too as well because I did like Nell and Theo's relationship until the ending whenever Nell was just like, okay, and I'm coming to your house and I'm gonna stalk you if you don't let me over. It's just like,
she's
okay,
like, no,
where's the
I'm
build
gonna
up
live
for
with
that?
you.
Like, not quite how that
What is that?
works.
This is like the template for like the U-Haul like relationship. Like, we're
Well,
moving
because like
in, we're getting together.
and not to mention too, it was already implied that like Theo had her own partner, like another wife, girlfriend, or something. You know what I'm saying? And so like you can't just try to force yourself into like a relationship with someone, especially if they already have their own partner. You know? And
Yeah,
like,
this is. I don't. Maybe it's the writing too. I don't know if Shirley Jackson is going to be my girl in that way. I think I was spoiled by Steven Zweig with his writing, which I need to get back to Post Office Girl. There's just like some people that write like that have written books like a long time ago, that just do it in such a way that is so much more profound. And I think I have a harder time with. I don't know. I haven't had a really good luck time or a good time with American classics and stuff because I
well, you like
like
Steinbeck.
Steinbeck's books. I read The Pearl. I thought that was pretty good. I thought the politics of it were pretty good. I think is Franz Kafka. Is he American? Because I read The Metamorphosis and I thought it was fine, but I don't remember.
Kafka does not give American last name to me, to be honest.
Let me triple check. No, never mind.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a translation of that one then. Sometimes that's also like irrelevant. I don't know.
But this isn't even a
I don't know.
translation. Well, because like
No,
I
know it's not a translation.
Well, because like this reminded me, like whenever I was in high school and stuff, I read a lot of Edgar Allan Poe. Like I read The Raven, The Fall of the House of Usher, The Telltale Heart, those sort of things, and I really like those. But I feel like this is more like a vibe book without even giving you the full vibes that you're looking for. It's like surface level vibes, you know? And that's why, in a way, like it reminded me of like the Yellow Wallpaper, because like that one just like obviously I can tell that it was like meant to be something, and maybe in the 50s or 60s whenever this was published it meant something then, but we have grown past it, I think, now, especially, you know.
It's a bummer. That was the other one. I was like, I know I've read like another like American or English author, and it was definitely the Charlotte Perkins Gilman, The Yellow Wallpaper, which was another one. I was like, I read it, I get it.
I mean, you like Toni Morrison.
Yeah, Toni Morrison, The Blue Side. I have to read some of her other stuff. I don't know.
Which she's got Beloved. That's supposed to be a ghost story too. Maybe we could do that next Halloween. Beloved.
Oh, I read the abridged Moby Dick. It was fine.
Is he even American?
Herman Melville?
I don't think he's American.
Yeah, he's an American novelist.
Okay. I don't know. I just feel like I thought the book was so old. He like existed before America was around. You know what I'm saying?
Isn't that funny? I was like, wait, I was like, I read The Crucible, which is another like.
Oh, I like Arthur Miller. Arthur Miller. I read Death of a Salesman, maybe. I don't know. The thing is, I read a lot more classic stuff in high school too, because like that's all you get to read in high school. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's one thing too. That's why I don't choose to read classics very often on my own, because I'm like, yeah, Death of a Salesman is what I read in high school. I read the play of it.
You know what? The other thing though is like going into reading this, I don't know why, I thought The Haunting of Hill House was written by oh shit, what's her name? Yeah, Mary Shelley. And I was excited for that. Because Mary Shelley's like mom or parents were like comrades. So
Mary Wollstonecraft.
Yes. I was really excited. But Shirley Jackson is not. She's apolitical. I did mention that earlier. I tried looking some stuff up, and there's not a lot. Like, she obviously like wrote a lot of stuff, and she makes good. Like, The Lottery was a good commentary, but
I haven't read it.
I don't know. Maybe I'll get around to reading it. But right now, this one kind of turned me off.
I think so too. I don't know, because like the thing is that I think maybe if it wasn't going to be so like whatever it was, if the horror was even good or like the spooky vibes were there. But like I thought Mariah was liking it more, because like I was texting her like whenever we started out, I was like, this shit kind of like boring, and Mariah's like, well, it just started and like there's lots of stuff going on. I'm like, okay. And I thought you would have liked it more the way you were defending it to me when we were texting.
The beginning was really strong. I will say,
I was like, the beginning
is strong. It's building good, and I was like, okay, I've read other things that are kind of like this, and then they can like get some momentum, and it kind of just stalled out.
I thought it stalled the whole time, to be honest. Okay. The most
I don't mind reading a bleak and like boring book. Like it's fun. Like I can enjoy that, but not this one. There's another book that I have that I've heard is very good, and it's called Ghost by Edith Wharton. It's on the New York Review book, and it's supposed to be a good compilation of ghost stories. People are looking for something.
I don't know. I'm still just waiting. Like I've never been scared by a book, which I don't know if that's just because like what I read to, I don't necessarily like get drawn to horror specifically.
You know what? You should read Inventing Reality, because that was a really scary book for me.
Well, Michael Parenti.
Sometimes I read Parenti and I'm like, I gotta put this down. The Jakarta Method and Still Life with Bones.
Wrote Ethan Frome. We had to read that in high school. That lady. Did you write Ethan Frome? Edith Wharton?
Probably.
You didn't have to read Ethan Frome. That's another.
I didn't have to read that one.
Who was in it? Liam Neeson. He was in the movie version of it, I believe. We watched that after we read the book in high school. Which, like, I feel like that's the thing about classics, though, is that, like, whenever you have to read them in high school, I feel like you really don't absorb them in any way.
No, oh my god, I think about that all the time. That's why I reread The Little Prince, and then I read it again because I haven't read it since I was like 14 years old, and I was like in tears. I was like, oh my god, I get why they made us read this, because it really hit me. It was such a good
Well, 'cause I
classic,
think-
and if there's a good one, I would recommend that to everyone. I love The Little Prince. That is like my favorite classic. I think my favorite classics, because it's like a kid's book too. And it's so good. Oh fuck!
I don't even know
think
what it
about that book
is.
all the time.
Like, I never
just-
even heard of it until you were talking about it that one time.
just got it at the used bookstore. I was walking by and I found a vintage copy of The Little Prince. But it's about a little prince, and he lives alone on a teeny tiny planet, and he has this rose that he has to water, and then he's like, okay, I gotta like go. It has like a volcano. Like, it's just like it's really weird. And each planet he goes to, he's like learning about how the world works, and then he ends up like going to Earth. But like there's like, you can definitely make a case of like criticism of like capitalism and shit, because he's always asking us like, why does this work the way it does? Like, why are you
When
doing
was that
this? There's, like,
published,
a
though? I
planet
thought
where,
that
like,
was old. Like, really old.
it is. I mean, it's old, but I don't know if it's like, I think 1943.
Oh, I
is
thought
when
it
this
was older
published.
than
You
that.
should read it.
I thought
No,
this
is
it was like
really.
I really thought it was like 1700s.
No. That's Sir Thomas More's Utopia is really good, and I would recommend that one. That was like 14 or 1500s. It made me feel like we will never escape this vicious cycle of a class-based society, because I was like,
Awesome.
holy shit, I'm never gonna escape.
They
That
were
one was
suffering the
really
same in the
enlightening.
1500s as we are now.
Yeah, because he's like, it's like under the feudal society, and he's talking about, he's like, it's a fictional novel based about him having this conversation in this bar with this guy that has been to this country, and it's called like Utopia, and he's explaining how, like, okay, everyone has like a house, right? It's like communally given. They have like communal gardens. There's no fences. Everyone like helps each other eat, and like
Oh,
the
so
way
they live in
and like
communism.
there's literally, I was like, this is literally communism. And then I saw like Verso has like a published version with like a foreword by Ursula K. Le Guin and like China Mieville. I was like, oh wait, this is cool. That was a really cool classic. But yeah, those are like the two that I would recommend if people want to like read cool classics. It's like The Little Prince.
I definitely do think
in Utopia.
Well, because like sometimes too, which was what I was worried about with this, is that because there's some classics, like I tried to read Little Women last year, and talk about snooze fest.
We gotta find. I think the issue is it's classics by like white women, and it's just, and like I get like what they're like suffragette type, but like they're not. There's gotta be something better. Like Toni Morrison is great, but there's gotta be more. Like it can't be limited. I'm sure there's gotta be like authors from like India or something that have like some really cool like class. You know what I mean? Like there's gotta be something, or maybe in like South America. I'm gonna like go on a hunt like for 2026 and see if I can find some really cool authors.
You just hear so much about like the Bronte sisters and like Jane Austen and stuff like that. But then like I read that stuff, but then it's also like because they're like romances or like romance adjacent. Is that also why I'm not super into them either? You know, which like the thing is that like I prefer fantasy, but I haven't read a lot of like classic fantasies either, like Dune or anything like that, which I don't know if I would like that either, you know. I think classics are like probably one of the hardest genres to recommend to people too.
I know you haven't read The Lord of the Rings and it kills me.
I know.
Or The Hobbit.
I have The Hobbit right there.
Is so fun. Oh, The Hobbit is like such a special little classic.
I feel like I was waiting until it got a little bit colder to read it, because I did want to read at least The Hobbit this year. But I feel like it's more of like a wintry, like late fall sort of novel, and it's still 80 degrees.
Fun book.
It's still 80 degrees where I am, so you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was 75 degrees today, so I was like, okay, I can get
Yeah.
that. Like, The Lord of the Rings, especially if The Lord of the Rings is a winter read.
That's what I was saying. Like, I want it to be cold out before I'm reading. Like, because that seems like something you want to read, like, cozied up, you know? Like, which it probably, this would have been that too, but it's still, like, global warming, and so it's 85 degrees in the south in the middle of summer. Or in
Way to make
October.
things political.
What? Anyways. But yeah, I do think I was kind of disappointed in this too, because I wanted something spooky. Like, really spooky-ooky. And this was not that. And I was reading this, I was reading it whenever I was, like, house sitting alone by myself in a house. And I wasn't even getting ooky spooky vibes. And that would be, like, the perfect time to be scared, you know?
I know, we'll have to come up with, well, you've read one ghost story book, so you gotta read something else next. I
don't
mean,
know.
what the next spooky book we're gonna read is The Unworthy, which I am gonna be really honest, I don't
it's
know
about
anything
cults.
about The Unworthy.
It's cults.
That might be fun. I don't like that there's no chapters. I don't like it, but I will read it.
I think The Unworthy, it's like about a cult of some type. But it's also written by Tender as the Flesh Lady, and I did not like Tender as the Flesh at all.
I can see, like, why people like it if you don't read a lot of stuff. And I'm sure, like, in Argentina, given, like, their, like,
And
politics and, like, the history,
yeah.
I totally get, like, why it's so popular there. Just here, and, like, the stuff I read, it's fine. I would recommend it to some people, but not like everyone.
A very surface, like, spoilers, like, I just felt like Tender as the Flesh is a very surface level critique. You know what I'm saying? Like, it didn't feel like it dived deep enough into what I wanted it to. And then it's just like, again, like, I think that's one thing too, like, with a lot of these books, where they just, like, the characterizations, because they're so focused on being, like, subversive and different, the characters, like, fall flat for me. Especially whenever they're character-focused novels, too. And it's just like, we have to shock the viewer somehow, you know? And instead of, like,
this one will be good, though. Hopefully. If you want to read it along with us, join us on Fable. That's where we're reading it. You have until, like, the 30th or the 31st. To read it along. It's 192 pages. I think they're pretty easily done. This is going up on the 9th, I think. Yes. Ish. Maybe the 8th. 9th.
Whatever Thursday is.
But The Unworthy is a searing dystopian tale about climate crisis, ideological extremism, and the title pull of our most violent exploitative instincts. This is another unforgettable novel from a master of feminist horror. I'm hoping this one is a little bit more feminist.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Like, the last one was, like, not really. This one does have lower ratings than Tender as the Flesh, though.
I DNF'd the other one that she wrote, because I was really excited about it. It was like the 19 Crows or something. 19 Claws and a Blackbird. No. This one has more reviews, though, than the other one. Also, the next Carl will be going up this month, so if you're waiting for the Bedlam Bride, that's coming up in the next, like, week and a half or 2 weeks. So stay tuned for that, and then we will be almost completely caught up, and I don't know what we're going to do with ourselves without Carl.
Oh, no. Let's
read him again, June. I guess.
I know. Well, because, and then, I will probably, I think maybe, I don't know, depending, I might just do, like, an audiobook listen straight through, like, rereading to prepare for the next Carl next June, too. You know? Because that's just something you could have on, because I already know what happens.
Oh my gosh, I have a spoiler for you. It's not like a proper spoiler, but it's just with the audiobook. Oh my gosh, what's his name?
Jeff Hayes?
Yes, you know, like how Jeff Hayes, right, is the audiobook.
Yes, Patrick Warburton and then Travis Baldree are also in Bedlam Bride.
Yeah, I didn't know Patrick Warburton was in it. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, I saw his name on the cover. And then also, Travis Baldree, that's who wrote Legends and Lattes. By the way, if you didn't know that.
Oh.
Yes.
I didn't know.
Yeah. I don't know what he has to do with this, but I just know he wrote Legends and Lattes.
Fascinating.
And I didn't like Legends and Lattes, but I don't know. Anyways, but I guess, unless you have really anything else to say, kind of the last few minutes, we haven't even been talking about this book. We started talking about classics in general because this.
If anyone has any suggestions on books they want to see on the podcast, if there's any new releases coming up in 2026, I know for sure that Chris and I are going to read the Jeanette McCurdy book. So I'm trying to come up with like a list of books that are going to come out.
We're also planning on doing a lot of movie adaptations, like books that are turning into movies next year. So if there's a book.
Yes, I think we're going to do Whale Fall, Incidents Around the House, maybe kind of. There's some Emily Henry stuff that we haven't dabbled in. So we're going to try to incorporate those in just to mix things up because I don't know what's going to happen with TikTok since it's been bought out by Oracle and it's been a little weird lately. So we'll see what happens. If not, we're going to be looking at Bookstagram.
Yeah. Mariah will be because I'll probably have to stay on the BookTube side of everything.
Now, this is the time where everyone needs to bully Kristen into book vlogging and everything on YouTube. In the comments, go now. Go.
I do have a Bookstagram. I have posted a couple videos, so but yeah, I guess other than that, next week's episode will be The Bedlam Bride, The Eye of the Bed. I don't even know what it's called.
Yeah, I think it's just like The Eye of the Bedlam Bride, right?
I don't know.
Don't you have it on your shelf behind you?
The Eye of the Bedlam Bride.
By Matt Dinneman!
Yes. So that'll be next week's episode. And then other than that, I think that's it. So thank you and good night.